Our next guests are siblings as well as powerhouses in their respective fields. She's an award-winning 50-year veteran educator responsible for pioneering a design-based learning program. And he has designed some of the most iconic buildings in the world, from the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, Spain, to the Walt Disney concert halls in Los Angeles. We are honored to have them both here today. Welcome Doreen Gehry Nelson and Frank Gehry to the South by Southwest EDU Studio. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
So Doreen, you have a keynote here today titled Design-Based Learning Unwrapped, a teaching methodology you developed in the late 60s. For those unfamiliar with design-based learning, DBL, can you explain
in 25 words or less?
Yeah, 25 in the words worth of a tweet. Can you explain DBL?
It's a teaching method that uses the city that students at any grade level build physically, which is my connection with him, to learn what they need to learn. But it's not a city of today, it's a city of their imagination, because my methodology is predicated on self-expression. And the key to our life together from childhood is that self-expression was the most important thing. And my teaching methodology I call backwards thinking, and it starts backwards because it starts where you want to go. It starts with creativity. It starts with the high-level thinking skills that teachers want to teach, but sometimes don't have the time to get there. And then it goes back to teaching information and the things that are required by the powers that be.
I like that, end result, and then break it down. So Frank, you've said that you've been personally inspired by your sister Doreen's vision and her work. How specifically has she impacted your work?
Wow.
It's the other way around.
I feel like you were going to have a saucy answer there. This is what I'm getting from you.
No, it's been an inspiration to me to watch her over the years do what she does, because I've seen the payoff in the kids that grow up that have had that experience. They're not afraid to express themselves. They're not afraid to be intuitive. They're not afraid to be curious. That's the big thing. Be curious.
Has she always been like this? Have you two always had this relationship?
Yeah.
There's like 8.5 years difference in our age, and he was my inspiration. When I was little, he used to drag me down the street and point and say, "Look at that, look at that, look at that."
Oh, the worst thing is she played the harp, and it was a huge instrument, and I had to carry it around all the time.
Seriously?
Yes.
Wow.
She made me do it.
Good brother. So Doreen, can you give us a practical example of how teachers are using DBL, getting the results that you want, but better results than traditional methods?
Well, first of all, teachers have a hard time using my method because the powers that be slam the door on them a lot. But the ones that are brave, that go forward, there are school districts that go forward. And what they do is they don't resist the idea of having their students build a little miniature city in the classroom. And they don't mind if they do it in kindergarten, and they do it in the first grade, and they do it in the second grade, and they do it in the 12th grade. The payoff is that when students are asked, and Frank will talk more about this, when you ask anybody about how do you want your city to look, they'll tell you. And even little tiny kids, I saw a photograph today from one of our classrooms of pre-kindergarten kids. They know that it's too crowded, it's whatever. They have an idea and they want to fix it. That's the way in. And once you get in with the city, it has endless possibilities. You can talk about ecology, you can talk about the environment, you can talk about energy. Whatever a teacher needs to teach is available through the city. And I watched a podcast, one of these broadcasts that you did with the Secretary of Education, and Dr. Cardina said, we teach kids, not curriculum. And I think when you start with the city, you are teaching kids.
Yeah.
Because you engage them immediately in something, and they build and make and do things. Today at our keynote, we had a student show up that was in the first class that I taught in 1969.
Wow.
And she went on and on. You can hear the recording of it about how it impacted her life. Self-expression, and Frank will talk more, you can talk more about it. It's not elusive. We all can do it. We just need a platform to do it on. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, you just, I mean, who others' expression than your own are you going to do?
Yeah.
Frank, is DBL approach applicable to the workplace? Do you use it or something similar in your offices? And if so, how?
Well, I encourage curiosity, so same. Don't give up, keep going. We look for stuff that suits the project, that makes sense today at the time, and give it a human. It has to involve people. It has to feel good with people. If you do a concert hall, you have to make a building that supports the relationship between the audience and the musicians. And when you do it, they'll tell you. I've been able to do it a few times, and the musicians tell me, and the audience tells me. So it's possible to do it, and it doesn't take much extra just to think it through, that's all.
So Doreen, DBL has been around for about 5 decades now. Can we qualify some of our results or quantify some of our results?
We certainly can, yes. The students, after 1 year immersion, do as well and better, markedly better, on the standardized tests.
Really?
Yes. And in addition to that, they like themselves.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, they like each other. So this social and emotional stuff that's being sold to educators right now, which is a shame, because it's coming through textbook companies and people that are selling something. When you elicit self-expression, as Frank does in his office, and I do through this work, 50 years of it, you get teachers that have the ability to express themselves.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we're doing a workshop, and a high school chemistry teacher uses it to teach the periodic table, and he loves it. So he loves it because it gives him a platform to do things and try things out over and over again. Teachers need that. They need encouragement that they are artists, that they can do things. And if you go to Frank's office, I think the thing that is the most surprising, we brought this high school chemistry teacher to his office the other day, and he couldn't get over the fact that Frank has 20, 50 models of the same building. So it starts out, and then he does it again, and then he does it again, and he does it again, and he does it again until he's blue in the face.
Well, they're not exactly the same.
They're not the same.
But it's a search. It's always a search, and it's always, I mean,
It's the curiosity. It's compelling you to just make it better and better.
There's requirements. You have to be on budget. You have to, it can't leak.
I hope not.
Yeah, so you have to do all those important things, which takes a while to get it all connected.
Are you a perfectionist?
Very.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
Frank, you wrote in the introduction to Doreen's book on DBL, the power to imagine is the path to a better, richer, more equitable society for all. I mean, can you expand on what you mean by that, and specifically, how can creativity make our world more equitable?
Well, people that follow emotions and create and do stuff feel better. So that works. And when they feel better, they make the people around them feel better. If you, it's catchy. It's not, I mean, it does get, you can feel it when you're working with people who are following their feelings and expressing their feelings. They're not trying to cover up something. They're trying to say something with their work, and you can feel it. And the reason I do extra models and stuff is I'm searching, and I can feel it in other people when they do that.
Was it
A lot
easier
of
writing the foreword to her book than carrying her harp around?
But I think what he's also talking about from my vantage point is there's a political aspect to my work. I want America to realize that teachers really matter and that their voice really matters, and that you can't have a society, an equitable society, if you aren't educated. And you can't have an equitable society if you can't speak to each other civilly. And that all the discussion is with people yelling at each other on the floor of Congress, you know, with people watching that on television. It's confusing. We haven't taught civics in America since 1959. Oof. So from my vantage point, my work is very political. I feel that if we do not educate the future, we will go nowhere. And Frank, what Frank is saying, that when you release this creative spirit in human beings, they think for themselves. They don't think for other people. And that's what we care about, wouldn't you say?
Yep, that's what I care about.
Doreen, can you explain the concept of 6.5 steps backward thinking? How would a teacher incorporate that?
Oh, that's so hard. I never wanted to do that.
I don't understand that.
I don't understand it either. A teacher that I worked with insisted I do that because, you know, everybody always has steps to do something. I don't really have steps, but there's a good part about it, which is that when you're teaching teachers, you have them identify what is the powerful thought or what is the big concept that they're going to teach. Are they teaching about, you know, how human beings live together? Is that the big concept? And if you're doing that and you build a community, then we're talking about how do human beings live and get along together. The criteria list that I put on the development of a criteria list came about really from working with Frank when we went to the Smithsonian and we did some little things together early in the 70s after I had already started working in a classroom, but Frank helped me refine some of my thinking to include this criteria list, which is what architects and designers, when you have a client, the client says, I don't want square windows, and I don't want this, and I want chintz curtains, and I want, my grandmother's table here, whatever they tell you they want. And that balance between what you don't want and what you need to have, or you think you need to have, is what he predicates his work on. And it's what the kids do, because it gives you the 6.5 step. That step, which is step 3, it gives you a template to evaluate. So did you do what you said you wanted to do?
Right.
And then the 4th step is the self-expression, doing it, giving it a try. So you have a little structure, which I needed to have for public school reasons. I'd like it to be looser, but it can't.
Yeah.
And then I think the most important part is what happens after they've made their self-expression. They want to talk about it. That's language arts. They want to write about it. That's language arts. They want to measure it. That's math. They want to count how many red buildings there are. That's math. They want to figure out the relationship between how long it takes to get from what you built to what I built. that's more math. So we start talking about word problems and all the things that are so hard to teach, and they're sitting right there on the table in front of them.
I mean, it sounds like the essence of all learning, just critical thinking.
You got it.
So, creativity and curiosity are central to design and architecture. Frank, how do you gauge the potential for curiosity and creativity in a project when you're considering or a person you're thinking about hiring?
That's a good question.
Well,
It's hard.
I mean, we hire interns and people, and I teach. A lot of people have come from my teaching, from the classes that, especially at Yale, I've been teaching. I taught there for many years. And at the end of the class, I taught the graduating class, so they were graduating. And so usually 2 or 3 of them would come up and say, "Can we come work for you?" And I would say, "Yeah, come on."
It's that easy? I don't know if you want to put that out on the air, because I'll intern.
No, we do. I mean, we do. If you got kids already, you want to intern, come on.
So what kills creativity? Is there anything that you can point to?
Preconceptions that are probably politics a lot.
It's like bureaucracy and
Stuff, bureaucracy. People that think they know better. I think people even today are surprised when my name appears on a list for a project with others. The way they get architects is you have to put your name on a list or something. I keep forgetting how we do it, but somebody does it for me. But and they always are surprised to find me there. But
I'd hire you. Be like straight to your name.
well, I don't know whether they're straight to my name. There's a lot of folklore, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That my stuff is different. It's been from the beginning. I always get, oh, well, that's not going to be on budget. That's not going to be on time. That's going to leak. That's going to whatever. It's an ego trip. It's not. And Business Week just published a big issue on how my office delivers on time, on budget.
It's possible.
I didn't even know they were doing
Your
it.
incredible body of work is the reason that there's folklore. Just saying.
Yeah, probably.
So what impact does social media and instant access to information have on creativity? That's for you both.
What do you think?
I mean, we were all watching what's going on. We watch the. I do anyway. I watch the talking heads a lot.
But other people are watching Fox News while he's watching, what he's watching. So you have a society that gets split. I think the news media should be ashamed of itself. They
Well, they proved that recently.
Yeah, they it was such an honorable profession, and to see what's been made out of it, it's really pathetic.
Well, we can't.
So I want to know personally, this is for me, what keeps you both curious and creative, and who inspires you guys?
Well, I grew up, we had the same grandfather, but he used to take me to read the Talmud. So if you're Jewish, the Talmud is the big deal. And so the Talmud starts with the word why. I'm not a super religious anything, but that was early in my life. He talked to me about that as being important, which is, continue to be curious, that's all.
So your grandfather.
Yeah, he talked about it a lot.
And our dad.
Yeah, he was. But I think it's something you do. I thought everybody did it.
Yeah, Frank just told the story the other day that I didn't know about. I mean, I knew about it, I thought it was family lore, but our dad, who had only a fourth grade education, won first prize at the Canadian National Exhibition for arranging fruit and vegetables. We're talking, Frank was born in '29, so we're talking about way before Andy Warhol, way before pop art. And he was arranging fruit and vegetables in a way that was interesting and caused him to get an award. Frank also told me that, and I remember our dad working with materials like paper mache, or Frank said he would be down in the basement making something. He'd bring up a horse that he made out of paper mache. So there was this man, our father, who was undereducated and curious and kind of cuckoo in a way to the society. I mean, the society, he didn't do well in his life. Wouldn't you say?
So you're saying that curiosity, creativity, and being an inspiration to others just runs in the family. It's handed down from generation to generation.
I don't know.
I think so, yeah.
Clearly.
I don't know. Our mother was also, I mean, she was an interesting woman because she had never graduated high school, but at age 50, when we moved to California, she went back, got a high school education and 2 years of college.
Well, your parents must have been incredible because you guys turned out incredible.
Yeah,
I want to
of
thank
course,
you
we're
guys
the best.
so much for coming to the South by Southwest EDU studio. I really enjoyed talking to you today.
Thanks for putting up with us.
You're the one to put up with, I can tell.
Okay.
Frank and Doreen, thank you. And thank you both and all of you watching today. You can check out our daily schedule of interviews at the South by Southwest website, schedule.sxswedu.com. And you can also watch all of our studio interviews on the South by Southwest EDU TV app and on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@SXSW EDU. I'm Kari Byron. Thanks for tuning in.